which is how an ERP really started and where does it stand today. So the ERP system has been around for almost, I think, mid-60s, late 60s, early 70s. Started off in a very small way, primarily addressing the materials requirements or the production planning areas because of various reasons. One was that finance was relatively a very uniform way of doing things. So it did not really require, it wasn't very complex. Things were much easier. Things like cash flow statements, SOX compliances, SODs, segregation of duties. It did not exist in those days. Businesses was simple. Production was not that simple even then. Sales was considered to be unique because everyone had their own ways of doing it. So that's probably another reason why it did not start from there. But materials and production and purchasing was the area where ERP started. All the old ones, MFG Pro or PAN or SAP, they were all sort of, in that market of production materials, sales, and production materials, purchasing, and those kind of functions of the organization. So as time evolved, they slapped on the other functions of the company onto it, and the existing modules split into multiple modules because they became so big. They became sub-modules in their own right. And so it became more and more complicated over time. The 2000 till 2010s, it was mostly on-premise, where you had to buy the software, install it on your systems, have your own, local areas set up for all your employees to access it, and so on and so forth. But then we saw a cloud like everywhere else in ERP too. And today, the preferred option is cloud. So it's really, as we all know, cloud really is, pay later what you would pay much lesser today. But it makes it cheaper for companies, as well as the fact that you are able to upgrade when you're on the cloud a lot easier. And we'll address those when we go into a little deeper into how the ERPs function, maybe in the next or the one after meeting that we have. So until the 1990s, ERP strengths were well known and accepted, but the industry never took off. And three changes made this growth really possible. The companies moved away from the functional model to the managerial model, in which information became critical. So it wasn't really what you were doing, but how much are you doing? When are you going to do it? What effect does it have on my other areas in the company? And that was aided by the internet, obviously. And companies started having the real need for having the real-time data. Competition was another. You have one company in an industry getting it, the others need it too. It's just normal. And then you had integrated systems became more a norm than a rarity when ERPs started coming in. And then you had the hardware improvements relating to memory. That was a biggie because most of the ERPs are resource hoggers. They, unlike the legacy decentralized systems, which are set up on different boxes or different computers, an ERP, just by definition, requires to sit on one box itself, one computer itself. And so that was another. Hardware became much more easily accessible, cheaper, and that boosted the growth of ERP. And today, of course, you have SAP, for example, with their HANA system, which actually sits on the RAM, not even on the hard drive. So it's become to that extent that a big, huge ERP is sitting on the random access memory, which used to be, or still is in my home computers, at least for 4 GB or 8 GB. So we are looking at a growth rate and exponential speed at which the ERPs today run, that they no longer access the information from hard drive, but everything's sitting on the memory of the computer.